welcome back to Room 237, back with another review. And this is a movie that I've actually had for quite a while, and just, for some reason never got around to it. I know I've been doing extreme films lately. I am waiting on a couple more to come in. This is not an extreme film, despite its title, but it was one of the video nasties. It was one of the list one prosecuted films, and it is an Italian film. You follow my channel, you know I'm a huge fan of Italian horror and giallo. It has been kind of a while since I've done an Italian film, and this is one I meant to get when I did that 6-month long marathon of Italian horror and giallo. In fact, I think this Blu-ray came out during that period, but I picked this up recently, and yeah, this is not one I've had for a while. I picked this up like last week. It's one I meant to get for a while. But anyway, this is for the 1980 Italian film Cannibal Apocalypse. Now, this is the Kino Lorber Blu-ray, which, as I said, I think just came out, I think in 2021. Does not say any other time it would. But this is the cover that it normally comes with. Yes, that is John Saxon. May he rest in peace. Absolutely great character actor. I always love seeing him in horror films. Aside from Elm Street 3, and New Nightmare, and Black Christmas. I mean, he was in The Girl Who Knew Too Much. He was in Tenebrae. Scorpion with Two Tails. This slew of Italian horror films. And yeah, as I said, this was on list 1 of the video nasties, and it was directed by Antonio Margheriti. Yes, the same one that was referenced in Inglourious Bastards and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I have not reviewed Castle of Blood, but I have reviewed Naked You Die, which he also did, and I think there was one other one of his that I've reviewed, but I can't remember. But if I'm not mistaken, I think this was like the beginning of like a slew of Vietnam films that the director had done. I think this was the first of a bunch. Now, this is also known as Cannibals in the Streets and Invasion of the Flesh Eaters. I will say Invasion of the Flesh Eaters and even Cannibal Apocalypse don't really work for the scope of the film. I'd say Cannibals in the Streets definitely suits the film a lot more. But Cannibal Apocalypse is certainly an eye-catching title. I mean, like Jungle Holocaust, Cannibal Holocaust, Cannibal Ferox, Mountain of the Cannibal God. I mean, it is an eye-catching title. And I believe this remained cut up until like 2005. Some of the scenes that were cut was that of animal cruelty. If I had to guess, it had to deal with the sewer rats in the climax of the film. There is a scene in Vietnam where a dog has a grenade or a mine attached to its collar, then it explodes as like a trap. We don't really see that. I think it's some of the sewer rats getting caught on fire by the flamethrower, which I don't think was on purpose. I think it's just they were there. But yeah, John Saxon is our lead. Also stars Elizabeth Turner, Cindy Hamilton, Tony King, Ray Williams, John Morgan, who I'm guessing was his stage name, but every time I've seen him, he's been credited by his real name, Giovanni Lombardo Radice, who has been in, that guy there. This same year, 1980, he was in House on the Edge of the Park, which I think was his first film. He was in City of the Living Dead. All three of those in 1980. He was also in The Church. I think he was either in Trauma or Stendhal Syndrome. I think it was Trauma. He's been in a lot of movies. In fact, when I first started watching Italian films, he was like the first Italian character actor that I recognize from movie to movie. And he always has a great presence. I mean, yeah, he always plays like sort of the twisted, messed up characters, but he has a good presence. Acting may be a bit over the top, but he does have a good screen presence. And yeah, one thing about this movie is it is an Italian cannibal film, but it plays like a zombie movie. Because yeah, it opens up in the Viet Cong, where we see John Saxon saving a Radice, whose character's name is Charles Bukowski. I think it's coincidence, not named after the poet Charles Bukowski, whom I have a handful of books of. I'm a big fan of the poet Bukowski. But it opens up in the Viet Cong with John Saxon saving Radice and this other character, Tommy, played by Tony King. Charlie bites John Saxon. And then we skip to some years ahead in Atlanta, where Saxon is having these dreams and these urges to bite people, while Charlie is being allowed leave from a mental hospital, and he has this virus. So it's like cannibalism, but transferred like a virus. So that's where like the zombie aspect comes in. It is interesting to see a cannibal movie, even though it starts off in the jungle and we really just get like a bite. Well, the Vietnam jungle, not the Amazonian jungle. But that's really all we get. So to see a cannibal movie actually in the city is actually a cool idea. But I don't know how I feel about cannibalism just being transferred like a virus. Like, it might as well just be like a zombie movie. The difference is, it's kind of just this urge. Like, you maintain your cognitive abilities. You can still speak. You're still the same person. You just have this urge to bite and eat people. It's not like your main drive. You don't just... You see people, you don't just run after them and start biting. Like, you're still a regular person. You just kind of have this kind of temptation, I guess. So it is a mixture. Oh, you don't get all mutated looking. You look normal. So it is kind of a decent blend of cannibal and zombie. But I kind of always thought of it more as a zombie movie. But anyway, for the first part of it, you're really just kind of waiting for Charlie's story and John Saxon's story to kind of intertwine, then take off. It is kind of stylish. There is some interesting things, like John Saxon wakes up one night, goes to the fridge, and there's these steaks that are dripping blood, and it zooms in, and every time a drop of blood hits the fridge, there's like a sting of music. First time we see Charlie, we'll see him like walk by a window that says like hospital, the neurological hospital or whatever, and then the text from the window will like fade away. So it is rather stylish. The music, which I have to mention because it's an Italian film, done by Alexander Blanksteiner. Do not know him. He has a mixture of this very bass-driven kind of funk or disco type score that was around a lot at that time. But there's constantly interesting or silly kind of music. I always love the music in these old Italian movies. But, so like, for really the first half, the first two acts, we're just kind of seeing John Saxon struggle with these thoughts or these urges to bite people. He doesn't really know why. And then we see Charlie get his first granted leave from the hospital, where he goes to catch a movie. sees a couple making out, really getting into it. I mean, he's going down on her chest and just in front of everybody. And it does kind of subvert your expectations because Charlie goes to a Vietnam movie, so you think that's going to be his trigger. But no, it's when this couple's making out and her neck is revealed and he just goes in for a bite. As for that, this was kind of underwhelming for me as far as what a cannibal movie is. I expected a lot more gore or blood or something. It does have some. It does have a few select scenes that are gory or bloody. I mean, there's a kissing scene where a tongue gets bitten out and spit on the floor. Decent looking effect. There's a shotgun blast through a torso, so like this big visceral hole, which a decent effect because it shows the hole right through the torso. You see the actors on the other side, and it pans up and you see the character's face, like it's not a dummy or anything, so a decent effect. It does have some shoddy effects, kind of like what you see in like a Fulci film, especially the kind of effect deals with an eyeball, so it looks like a Fulci effect, like a finger going in, and you can just tell it's like a prosthetic head and just the way the eyeball is. It does have some effects, yes, but I feel like they're just too few and far between, especially for a cannibal film or a zombie film for that matter. But yeah, there's this subplot because it deals with the very ending of the film with this horrific, constantly yelling aunt with these two kids, her niece and nephew. The niece is like in her teens, has a thing for John Saxon, and she tries to seduce him. But then when Charlie calls for a beer, everything kind of starts flooding back. And he gets the urge to bite her, which he does. We don't see it, but it's implied. And her much younger brother. Which another stylish thing that I liked was he's showing the younger brother how to fly this remote control plane. Then he leaves him alone. And the kid crashes the plane. We see the plane hit the ground. Whoa. Nice. We see the plane hit the ground, and then we immediately cut to a framed picture of an explosion in John Saxon's house. So just a decent cut or transition with that. And then basically it just, Saxon has to coax Charlie out of this shootout with the cops because after the thing with the movies, he's chased by all these bikers and police to this flea market where he hides out with a shotgun. He's, shooting at everybody. Saxon goes to help him and coax him out. He gets sent back to the hospital where he makes it so him and Tommy bite this other nurse so that she can get, more people infected. And then Saxon goes to help break out Tommy and Charlie, this nurse that they infected, and try to run free. That's basically the movie. Now, and another reason why apocalypse or invasion seems a little too grand in scope is because we do get a couple scenes of other characters being infected. Like there's one scene at the police station where the captain goes in the break room and there's an officer like eating the heart of another officer because he was bitten. Another scene of a woman in an ambulance as she goes to bite someone. Ooh, we do get a couple small scenes of other people infected by this virus. John Saxon's wife talks about, what is it with this epidemic of cannibalism? Like, talking about how this is much bigger thing. But it doesn't really show it. It really just centers on Saxon, Charlie, Tommy, and then eventually this nurse. So the scale is a lot smaller than what the title may suggest. And then the climax is, they stop off at this car shop where Charlie takes an angle grinder to a dead mechanic's leg, but you can tell it's like steak. It looks just like cube steak or something. Then they get in a fight with all the bikers. Then they end up down in the sewers, and there's a chase through the sewers. They're all kind of killed off one by one. And it is kind of a nice reveal that Saxon eventually just accepts what he is or decides to help the other three characters by helping them break out of the hospital. Because it is set up like a twist. Like someone helps them, we see someone step into frame, we pan up, and it's John Saxon. Probably thinking, where he's the lead, he's probably got to fight the urges, stop those people, then cure himself. But no, he joins them. But he's able to escape through the sewer. He goes home. He puts on his a military military uniform. And I think he's going to commit suicide because he thinks his wife won't understand. And there's this other subplot of this doctor at the hospital having a thing for Saxon's wife. Doctor comes in, but then it's revealed that he's been scratched or bitten, so that he bites Saxon's wife. Saxon shoots him as he's dying, because Saxon was hit earlier. And then just as he's dying, there is this intense moment where his wife crawls over to him and helps him lift his pistol to her head. Say, go ahead, I'm like you now, and I love you, so just go ahead. And then it has this cool ending because the neighbor's aunt is just this bitch of a woman, constantly yelling, like, I told you not to watch TV. Go outside. Don't slam the door. And then she'll show up in a scene just to yell at one of the kids. So, as the kids are watching the bodies, like Saxon and his wife and the doctor being loaded into the ambulance, the brother says, do you think they'll look for our aunt? Then the camera just pans past them to the fridge where there's like their aunt's hand sticking out. So good thing she died. And then there's the line by the captain saying, this fucking nightmare's over, but those kids will carry on this virus. So it's not as big as an effects film as other cannibal movies or zombie movies. It was interesting to see that kind of premise go from the jungle to the city. However, it didn't really go that big in scope. It really focused on these 3 to 4 characters with a couple really small scenes throughout of other people being infected. But it was still an entertaining movie. I mean, I'm glad I own it for the Italian collection, for the Video Nasty collection. It's one I've been meaning to pick up for quite some time. Ever since this Blu-ray came out, actually. I mean, not too much to say about it, really. I mean, it's kind of straightforward. Not a whole lot of effects to talk about. It wasn't as stylish as maybe like a Fulci film or certainly an Argento film, but it still definitely entertaining. But yeah, the only gripe or nitpick I could say was it was kind of underwhelming as a cannibal movie. And, I mean, for the title, Invasion or Apocalypse, I feel like they could have gone bigger in scope. But, yeah, that's the 1980 Antonio Margheriti Video Nasty cannibal flick, Cannibal Apocalypse. So I do have some more extreme films on their way. I might do other movies like this that I haven't got to yet. Like I have Jess Franco's Devil Hunter, which is another cannibal flick, Video Nasty, that I've been meaning to get to. Still have a couple Faces of Death films, Mondo Cane films. So whichever happens to come, stay tuned for those, and thank you for watching.